Phil from Savage Kitten here, and welcome to what is the first in a series of short YouTube videos on my experiences with sublimation printing. I wanted to do a few different sort of topics, and rather than do one massive video, I figured I'd break it down into little sort of short ones. So this video is actually my sort of 5 top tips for anyone who's looking to sort of get started in this kind of area. This is just based on my personal experience. You know, there's plenty of other information out there. If you find this useful, great, hope it helps you out. If not, no problem at all, feel free to ignore me. So let's get on with it. Okay, so number 1 is do your research. What I mean by that is when you get started with this stuff and you first start rummaging around and finding out what's involved and how to do it, there is a stack of stuff already out there that can help you with this. So if you go onto the internet, there are forums aplenty, there are a whole host of YouTube videos you can use out there to help you get over those first sort of kind of initial hurdles and starting points. I'm going to do a shout out here to Martin Butler's channel on YouTube. He pretty much is the sort of go-to place for things like mug, t-shirt printing advice videos and tutorials. He's got a whole stack of stuff up there that's going to help you in those early days, so definitely go and have a look. It's going to make all the difference. Most of these people who post the videos have been through what you're about to go through and will advise you of the common pitfalls and mistakes that people make. Try and give you a hand in avoiding those things yourself. So number two is all about the equipment, and quite simply put, don't buy the cheapest. You can buy heat presses, printers, inks, etc., papers throughout the entire range of product sort of pricing points, from dirt cheap through to the mid-range through to the very, very high-end sort of commercial grade stuff. What I'm suggesting is don't go straight to the bottom of the pile, go a little bit up and beyond that. We don't have to be spending a fortune on this stuff, but the cheapest is absolutely a false economy. So if you buy a cheap heat press or a cheap mug press, you're going to find you're going to get temperature problems, consistency problems, you're going to get pressing problems with it, the quality won't be good. If you buy cheap substrates, by that I mean mugs or other items, again they're going to have problems. Your mugs won't survive the dishwasher, you'll find your colours might be muddy. Really, really cheap mugs often have things like firing problems with them, so kind of bumps, gaps, holes in them. You might find there are drip marks where the sublimation coating's been applied cheaply. It's absolutely a false economy. You'll end up bidding them because you won't be able to use them. You need to spend just that little bit more on anything you buy. It's going to make a huge difference for you. There's much less waste. You can always upgrade the equipment later on down the line. You know, make your money back on what you initially outlay, upgrade it later on. That's my advice. So number 3 is about investing time in yourself. You are probably the single most important item here in doing this sort of little venture. Once you've got your equipment sorted, you've got to figure out how to use it all, and there is no substitute for playing with it and trying it out by yourself. You need to do things, give away free things if you need to your friends and your family, but get examples of actual production items. You know, there's no point just doing a mug with your name on it 20 times. You want people to ask you to do things for them, which triggers that kind of excuse to get in there and try it out for real. So when I say invest time in yourself, it's not just in the practical process of, you know, using the mugs and using the presses. I mean also using the software itself. You need to know how to get the best from the software, the fastest ways of doing it. And in particular, the whole sort of piece from start to finish enables you to solve problems later on. So the more you know about it at the beginning, you know, you might be running a batch of 50 mugs and things keep going wrong. In early days, with no practice, you won't be experienced enough to diagnose that problem. So invest time in training yourself up before you take yourself to that level of business. So number 4 is about starting small. What we mean by that is, again, when you first start sublimating things, you will find via the online suppliers who sell all the mugs and other items that they literally do dozens of different types of product. And these are going to range from, you know, quite sort of normal things, from mugs, coasters, maybe even mouse mats, perhaps t-shirts, but they'll also sort of branch off into things like what I think are quite cheap looking kind of bits of jewellery, even lighters. You might find there are cushion covers, bar mats, also, I mean, I've even seen flip-flops, you know, all sorts of stuff out there that you could choose to sublimate. Again, my advice on that is don't get carried away with ordering one of everything there is out there to try them out. just stick with something that there's a marketplace for that you can do well. If you buy lots and lots of different things, all you're going to end up with is a drawer full of blank things you're not using, or potentially a drawer full of stuff you've practiced with that you either throw in the bin or just can't even give away to people. So definitely pick something to specialise in and focus in on that at the beginning. Do one or two things well rather than diversifying too far. So number 5, this comes down to the idea of actually selling things, and if you look at somewhere like eBay as your marketplace, the simple advice here is you don't have to be the cheapest there is. eBay, as an example, you will find that there are people on there who sell custom printed sublimation mugs, and they're charging as little as a couple of pounds for these things. Now, know how much a blank mug costs and how much the ink and the paper and all the other sort of process parts will cost. That leads me to believe there can't be much of a profit margin in them. Therefore, in order to make money, you have to do a lot of mugs very, very quickly. And I also feel, and this is just my sort of assumption, I also feel that something will have to be compromised in order to make that sort of price point viable. So by that I mean either you're using very, very cheap papers, cheap inks, potentially cheap mugs, which don't give the customer the best results. My feeling is it's better to kind of price yourself more at that mid sort of point and invest in something that's a bit better in terms of the quality. If you give the customer a good product and they're pleased with it, if it looks good, it's durable, long-lasting, professional, they're going to come back for more. If they get something that's cheap and nasty, well, okay, it's a couple of quid, they're probably going to never use it and never really whinge about it, but equally they're maybe not going to come back and ask you for something else. So it's definitely worth sort of pricing yourself in that middle region. Don't go to the high end, but don't go right down to the bottom. There is room in the middle for new businesses and new startups, especially if you can find, I suppose, what I would call a point of difference in what you sell. If you sell exactly the same thing as everybody else, then it's harder. But so find a different design, make your design stand out from the rest. And again, it's like a if you build it, they will come approach. People will buy your products. Okay, so that's my 5 top tips for getting started in sublimation printing. Hope you found it useful. If you have, give me a bit of a like and maybe subscribe, because my plan is to do some more of these things. If you've got some constructive criticism, happy to receive it. This is the first time I've done this. I'm very, very conscious that I probably said words like so quite a few times. I also have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing with my hands, so I'm kind of waving these around. This one here is planted firmly in my pocket, which is why it hasn't moved. So I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you on the next one.